Hello everyone, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having an amazing day and are having so much fun with Animal Crossing. I cannot wait to bring you this new entrance build for my island. I do apologize that I haven't posted in a little bit. My mental health wasn't the greatest, and then we had flooding and mudslides in my area, which just made the whole situation worse. But I am back now, and I am ready to record and edit this video for you. So with that being said, let's hop right into the video. Although I'm super excited to be showing you all this build, this is very much out of my comfort zone in terms of style and design. For most of my previous Animal Crossing islands, I would do a very rustic or cottagecore kind of vibe to it, but for this island in particular, I decided to go for a little bit more, I guess, elegant core, and along with like a city, I guess is the best way I can describe it. I got really inspired by some of the new items we got from the 2.0 update, including like that castle, the castle walls and towers, which I find absolutely adorable and I love them. So I got inspired to use those, which I do not incorporate them in this build. However, they will be used in other builds that I will record and show you all. But for my idea for this entrance was to kind of make this winding brick path that leads to a bridge that you can go over, and the entrance is just going to be surrounded by waterfalls and a lake. And on the right hand side, my plan is to kind of make like a little island of sorts that I could put the it's not the gazebo, it's the other one with flowers. I forget what that one is called, but you can see that I've started kind of marking out where I want the land and water to be. I definitely wanted it not to surround the brick walkway completely, but I definitely wanted it to be close. That way it's like this is the path entering the island. But I also wanted to have the ability to put some trees and a little bit of a seating area and just kind of mess around. And I wasn't sure if I wanted to make it so it was like walkable at first, but I ended up making it so I can actually jump across a few like pieces of land. I don't necessarily want to call them stepping stones, but they remind me of stepping stones. Like when you cross a lake, you have stepping stones that you can jump over. So that's what I was kind of going for. But this is the item. I want to call it a gazebo. I know that's not the name of it in Animal Crossing, but I cannot remember it. And the video's fast forwarded, so I can't actually read it in time. But I absolutely love it with the flowers on top. I think it is so cute. So I definitely wanted to incorporate that, but it was a lot of trial and error trying to figure out where to place it, how to make it look good, because I knew I definitely wanted a stepping stool. I wanted to put some of these new bushes around it. I think the new shrubs are easily one of my favorite items in this game. I absolutely love them. My initial idea was to kind of put on each of the corners one of the little bushes, one of the shrubs. That ended up having to change. I also wanted to have it so it was fairly far back, while still having the ability to hop across. Although I had to change that as well. I realized very quickly that by leaving two spaces in between that first stepping stool made it really difficult to see it from the entrance. And I mean, it still is fairly difficult to see it at the end. Like you'll kind of see how it turns out. But I had it far too back. It was taking up far too much space. But I really wanted that to just be like this secluded little area, like a hidden gem within the entrance. And this is where I kind of realized like it's way too far back. I need to move it. I wanted the second stepping stool to go around. Does anyone else have this teardrop? For the life of me, I don't know why. They just keep coming and sitting right where I'm trying to terraform. Does anyone else's villagers do that? I swear, it's like, it's coded into the game for them to know, oh, they're doing terraforming stuff? Well, now we have to go and make them sit right where they terraform, because I swear it happens to me all the time. But once I finally got it out of the way, I was able to move around. I did realize that you're not actually able to place paths underneath that gondola, or not gondola, gazebo type thing. I really don't know what to call it while it's up. I had to remove it and then place it, but I wanted to line up with that stool. So I kind of like laid everything out and put the bushes down, so I kind of had an idea of where I wanted it to be, so I'd be able to kind of carve around it, which is what I'm doing here. I thought it would be really cute to just have it as this little secluded area and then to just build up around it. This took so much time to terraform, but in all honesty, I think it really paid off in the end. I'm really happy with how it looked. And I'm really glad that I was able to use some of the newer items that came with 2.0. I know that I got to use the new shrubs, and then there's also the topiaries, I believe they're called. The round and the triangular ones. I absolutely love those, especially for the outside design. Just chef's kiss. So now what I'm doing here is I'm kind of shaping out the lake area for my build. I knew that I wanted it to be like a decent size, so it took up a lot of room, but I wanted it to be decently big. That way it kind of, I don't know, gave one of those serenic, picturesque views. Like, I'm not quite sure how to describe it. It just reminded me of like one of my fantasy books that I used to read when I was little, and it gave me like a nostalgic feel, so I was just like, you know what, this works, I'm going with it. But I've started carving out the area where I wanted the bridge. I knew that I wanted it to be a decent size, and I knew I wanted it to be horizontal. I don't know why. I love the look of horizontal bridges. Or not horizontal, diagonal, if that makes sense. Once again, Deirdre is always trying to sit right where I need to terraform. Oh, I love her, but my goodness, I need to be able to do my work. But I believe I'm gonna place the bridge soon. Does anyone else have this issue where they mean to terraform one thing and they end up messing up what they've already done? I feel like I do that all the time, but oh well. At this point, I just wanted to get that bridge done and laid out. That way I can kind of have it visualized a little bit more. I didn't know if I wanted to do a Zen bridge or like a wooden bridge, but in the end I ended up deciding to do the stone bridge because I thought that was one of the better options. I really just wanted to kind of get the bridge laid out in a way to kind of see the area surrounding it, and also just to make sure that it lined up with the path. My biggest fear was that I would have to rework the path to make it fit with the bridge, but it ended up working in my favor, so I paid off the bridge right away, so as soon as I went to the next day, it would be all good. But at this part, I started to want to kind of get started on the rest of the lake, kind of. I wanted it to kind of wrap around the pathway, if that makes sense. So I wanted to make sure that there was still room. My plan was to make it around this kind of lake area, to have waterfalls all around it. So that's what I was really aiming for and planning, which, as you can see here, I start to kind of work around the terraforming. And once again, one of my villagers wants to come see what I'm doing. Gotta try to move them out of the way. And of course they want to sit right where I'm trying to work. So that is always a joy to see whenever they're trying to do that. But I kind of wanted this to be like a little, I don't know if I call them mountainous regions, cliff area, where it's not really connected to anything else, but it still has the ability to make like little cliffs off of it. Also, I absolutely love the vines that we get with this new update and being able to use them to climb up and down. It is so much easier than having to pick up my ladder all the time. It is my favorite way to go up and down the cliffs now. But as I was starting on the waterfalls, I kind of realized that I wanted to do a second story almost, or cliffside on top of it, just to kind of have more waterfalls going into the waterfalls. I don't know why, although singular waterfalls look good, I really like when it's just waterfalls falling into waterfalls. So that's what I was kind of aiming for here. And I also wanted to try to put some trees in the area and just make it look very pretty and full. So I really had to mess around with it and figure out what I wanted to do and where I wanted to place things. Because after this, I realized there's not much room to put all of the waterfalls I wanted. So it turned into a real big trial and error of just trying to figure out how big I wanted the space to be. And oh my goodness, the amount of times I am trying to do work on my island and I accidentally speak to villagers. It was really happening to me the other day. I was trying to put pathing down, or my resident services, and I can't remember who it was, Deirdre or Kiki, I think, was just sitting right where I needed to place the path. So unfortunately right here, I'm not sure what happened, but somehow the clip is gone from me finishing up that other area. So I'm now on the back end side of my lake kind of area. So unfortunately that clip is gone. I don't necessarily know what happened to it, but I do apologize for that. It was almost done anyway. But now we're working more on the front facing cliff, I guess, where I'm just trying to place flowers and some of the decorations that are going in between the cliffs that would be really hard to decorate otherwise. So I'm really just trying to get all the items that I need, the topiary, because that was something that I absolutely love using on my outdoor builds since the update. So I definitely want to incorporate that into the build along with my flowers. The main colors that I've kind of gone with the flowers are the pink, the black, and the purple. And I've tried to use a few different ones. I mostly have, I believe, tulips, mums, and roses at this point, but I'm hoping that eventually I will get more. But at this point, I'm really just trying to build up the cliff so I have area to start placing my waterfalls and kind of getting that look started. And then I kind of got distracted and placed some cliffing right near resident services because I had an idea that I wanted a staircase to go up and I didn't want to forget it, so I just kind of placed that real quick. But that is off stream or off recording that I do that. So unfortunately my resident services area won't be shown here, but I have posted a few photos to Twitter and Instagram if you're curious about that. But I just started working again, making the cliffs. I ended up having to make a border around me because I was really worried that Sasha was going to come and start sitting down right where I'm working the way some of my other villagers have. So I just kind of fenced myself in, I guess, so that they wouldn't be able to get to me. And then I took a little bit more off the cliff area that I was going to do, so it was just a thinner area for the cliff, so it's only 3 wide instead of 4. I just kind of want it to be a little bit even, like it was on the front side, having that 2 little space of the lake going around my, again, gazebo area. I don't know what to call it, but we start to get some of the water going, and at first I wasn't sure if I wanted to have a more randomized kind of waterfall, but in the end I decided that I didn't really want it. I wanted it to be more structured, so I did like spacing in between it, so one spot had waterfalls and the others didn't, and so I just kind of had that going, and then I decided to save and end. So I just kind of saved, ended, and skipped to the next day, which ended up having to be raining, but I wanted to get the bridge in there since kind of the waterfalls were done on that area, which I kind of like. I don't think I changed it looking back at this. I don't remember what changes I made in the end, but I'm just fixing up the path, which I struggled with because I wanted to have the brick go all the way under the bridge, but I couldn't figure out how to do that. It might have just been because of the angle it was at. But then I started placing some of the paths that I wanted. So I have a very nice kind of ivory built over brick path that I kind of used to put under the gazebo area. I will link all of the codes that I used in the description below. If I do happen to miss one, just send me a message through the comments, or if you have me on Discord, let me know there, because I will look for them and I'll make sure that I can post them for you. But I really like this kind of overgrown feel, I guess, for it when it comes to the greenery and the ivory growing over it. But at this point I kind of realized that I wanted to have, instead of the bushes on each of the corners, I wanted to have it on the sides and then to place a topiary in the middle of it. So I'm kind of just angling it so I would have the ability to put some of the topiaries down, and then I realized that I didn't have enough, so I would have had to mess around with that and then go get some more of the bushes. I ended up collecting just a ton of bushes from the Cap'n trips, like the tours that they give us, so I made sure that I had a bunch of those, and every time I get to, I think it's the Vine Island, I make sure that I have enough of those bushes on standby. But at this point I kind of ran out of them, so I had to kind of take a quick pause on that real quick until I got it, which I think I did here. I think there was a time jump. I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. I am so out of it with making videos. I promise I will get better. Oh, but I started messing around. I really like the market decoration, so I was like, maybe I want one of those. Decided that I didn't actually want one of them. Debated using one of the destroyed pillars. Again, decided I didn't want to. I think I ended up using the street lamps at that point. But again, from my island, I didn't have the color that I wanted. I believe my island automatically gave me the green street lamps. I really like the black ones, so I ended up not going with them. But I decided to hold off on that because I didn't have the item I wanted quite yet. So I decided to go and just grab some trees and pick them up. I wanted kind of like a balance between the pine trees, the cedar trees, and the normal trees. There are names for these trees, but they are escaping my mind, and I don't remember what they're called anymore. I definitely didn't want to use the fruit trees. I realized that I didn't really use much for the fruit trees in any of my builds, so I'll probably end up making some kind of orchard at some point. But I also wanted to mess around kind of with size. I know that I had 2 big trees in the distance, and I wanted to have 2 more trees up front, but I decided that I would have to go buy new trees from Nook's Cranny and then kind of mess around with that. I would have to time travel and make sure that they would grow on the first day, and then I really like the trees at the 3rd day of growth. It's fairly big, so you can kind of hide that little piece of fruit underneath it. Without it being seen, while it's still not too big where it takes up too much space. I put one of the bigger trees up at the top here. I thought maybe of placing another tree on the side, and I realized it's far too close to the waterfall, so I couldn't. But I placed a sapling, and then I placed one of like the pine trees, the normal trees. I still don't know what they're called. And then I time traveled quickly to the 3rd day. So as you can see, they're a little bit smaller than the trees in the back, which I kind of liked the height dynamic of that. I didn't want the trees in the front to take over the space, so I had to make them smaller. And then I just messed around with the placement of my bushes. I used a lot of the pink ones farther back, so I decided to use a little bit more of the white bushes here, which I really did like. And then I placed down more of the designs. These little flower stones, I think they're called, I think are absolutely adorable when it comes to placing the little street lamps on them. I absolutely love them, and I think they're adorable. But I started playing around with how I wanted the greenery to go. I ended up picking up some more flowers. I'm trying to breed them, or like crossbreed them as much as I can to get the colors that I want. So I've got some of the pink ones, the purple ones, and then I'm running over to grab some of the black tulips that I had. Luckily on my island I have tulips as my natural flower, so having to get some of these hybrid in the forms of tulips wasn't too hard. Unfortunately, I didn't think of stopping them earlier, if that makes sense. I kind of just let them grow wild, and now I'm scared to go to the second cliff side of the back of my island because they are overgrown with flowers, and I no longer know what to do about it. We're gonna have to dig them up eventually, but it's one of those things where it's out of sight, out of mind. I'm not worrying about it just yet. But I started looking at, okay, I have flowers, I have bushes, what else can I place there? I really liked the moss boulder. However, I didn't realize how big it was. I thought it would just be a tiny thing, so I was like, it would look great here. It's like, maybe I'm in the wrong spot, and then I realized this thing might be a lot bigger, so I placed it down just to see, and I realized that that is absolutely huge, and it will not work in that area at all. So I ended up having to mess around with it. And then unfortunately, I don't have a blank design pattern, so I just placed these little squares down, which I later changed to be clear. Hi, it's Liz from the future. I was editing this video and I realized that I lost the last clip before I show off the area in the final build, so I thought I would just start recording real quick here. This is kind of the end of the entrance. I got one of these little benches, which I think are so cute that we can just kind of sit down right before the area. I got my designs down finally. I have my little duck, which I love the duckies. My flower is gonna overgrow, so I'm gonna have to fix that eventually. But I have my little stepping stones here. I do have one blank little piece of land in the middle there. That is because I don't have the mum seat yet, the recipe for that. So I have to get that eventually. But I love the way this little gazebo area worked or turned out. I think it's adorable. Really, Maple? I swear, they know instantly when I film. Do I have the aggression one? I do. They know when I film. To jump there and then back. There we go. They know when I film and they go for it. But I ended up doing more off stream, so I guess I'll show that off as well. But I have finally the lampposts in, I have the flowers in, and then as you walk up, you kind of see another little area that just has some trees, a little nice nook with a sunken waterfall. And then I just use this path up here that leads up to resident services, which is not done yet, but I think that it's still pretty good. I do apologize for losing the clip. I did not mean to. I don't know it happened. I did film this in the middle of the chaos between both my mental health stuff and the floods, so maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But this is the end build. I'm so sorry for the chaos that is in this video. I hope y'all have enjoyed it. I will be sure to be posting more videos in the future. How do I do this like cool side angle thing? There we go. This is a cool angle. Very happy with all of this. But we finally have this build done. I forgot what I was saying. I should probably wrap this video up. It is chaotic already, and I'm just making it worse. But thank you all so much for watching. I should hopefully have another speed build coming in later this week. I will do my best to actually keep all of the clips and not lose the stuff again. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this build and the chaos that came along with it. As always, if you like my content and you would like to see more, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the little bell so you are notified when I go live, and hit the like on this video. But I will see you all in the next video.